Hello everyone, welcome back to Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
I'm Board.
And we're going to do a review of Galileo Galilei by Pink Troubadour.
Yes, we just finished our playthrough of this. We did 2 games, combined the scores of both games. Now we're going to walk through our normal review structure, tell you what we think about the storage, the rule book, the components, the design of everything, as well as how did the game play.
And we do this on a scale of 0 to 5. And we're each individually going to grade it on those areas that Board just mentioned. And then we will take the averages of those areas to get the Bald and Board Game score for each of those 5 areas. And then we will get the final Bald and Board Game score. And that will determine if this is a don't play, a just okay, a must play, or potentially a perfect. There's only been one perfect so far. To get that perfect score, you need to get 5 out of 5 stars, which means every category needs to hit 5. So, we start with the storage, or lack thereof.
Yes. So, as you can see the box here on the screen, this is the storage box. So, for what is in the box, let's quickly talk about that. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
You have 4 of these, which are all of the player tokens. We specifically put them into bags like this for all the starters for each player. So there's 2 here, plus the 2 that we have on the game board. You have a deck of cards, which are your constellations. You have a bunch of tiles and pieces that go out and about. And then you have a bunch of dice that just get put in here. So, looking at this, as well as player boards. So, player boards and the player characters themselves will also go in like that. So, if this game incorporated 6 decks of cards of this size, I would give this a 5 out of 5 because, hey, there's 6 spots for decks of cards. And the decks of cards, as you can see, fit perfectly. This game is not that. What?
This is way nicer than I am.
Well, if I said it was 6,
Yeah,
I was like, it kind of works. And then player boards on top. Awesome. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But this is not that game. That's not what this game's about.
That's true.
This game has 1 set of cards. It has a bunch of tokens of all variety of sizes, a bunch of dice that if you take all these dice and just throw them in, they just kind of sit in there and bounce all around. You have the player boards. You also have player people, which barely fit in here, but eventually cause a problem due to height and everything with the player boards. So, they didn't do a great job at all. They literally thought of one component and copied it for all that, assuming every component was the same. There's also some solo components. There's some special components per player, which are all just in a mess in each section.
Yep.
There's no easy way to differentiate what goes to who based on this design. So my storage score is a 1. The only thing it did well enough is it has 6 spaces.
Yeah. All right, you're actually harsher than I was.
You're like, oh, you're nicer than me. Oh, wait, no, you're not.
So I agree with everything that you said. This, I could literally just, it looks like somebody made this by hand. Like, I could make this for one of our games by hand.
I could
the little
not.
tuck things. It's just very simple. I understand they're going for that simplicity, but it causes the problem of things being jumbled and things not having their areas, and just allows for opportunities for things to get dinged up and beat up and everything, which is not good whatsoever. So yes, it is separated into the 6 areas, but it's still just stuff in bags in the box. So my biggest pet peeve is just these bags and things being shoved in these bags. Like, yeah, that's good enough, and then just figure out a way to shove it in there and just make sure that it's flat enough so everything doesn't get mushed and blah blah. But like, no, I need to give me a compartment for each character that I can then just take out of the box and put next to me, keeping it simple but intuitive. I did not give this a 1 purely because I think this is a step up, because these are solid in there. There is a separation, where there's other games like a lot of the Fantasy Flight games, or actually like the base version of Robinson Crusoe, where it's literally just the one cardboard thing, and then it's a well where just everything's thrown in, or Foxpaw even, which I haven't even gotten to
That's
yet.
true.
It's just one big well where everything's thrown in. That's a SETI, same thing. Sorry, I'm thinking of ones that I hate, storage-wise. So because this does have that extra thing above that, I did give it a 2. A 2. It's not good. Don't get excited. A 2 is not good still. All right.
All right, so that took care of this. Let's move that
That
out.
took care of
the way.
that, all right.
So next up in our structure is the rule book and associated player aids. Did the rule book teach you how to play the game successfully on the first attempt, and was it easy to go back and check things?
Well, if I wasn't illiterate, yes. I'm kidding. I love this rule book. It's gorgeous to look at, and the true test of how easy this is to read and teach in the game is that we learned to play this after flying into Indianapolis, going to Gen Con, and then trying to find our hotel, like our entire day of crazy. Brain dead, we were able to learn how to play this game and play it correctly the first time through. So lots of pictures and diagrams to explain everything. It took a second for me and my tired mind to understand. Woo, speaking of, my goodness, to understand the situation here with like the Inquisition and all of that, but it is very clearly spelled out here. That was just me being tired. Everything is very, very clear and to the point here, down to like the stories in the back of the rule book and the explanation of what their special abilities do. Had no questions. The only time I went back to the rule book for clarifying things is when we were trying to look for a loophole to do something or to make sure that we could do something. When it comes to the player aid, I love that the back of the player aid here shows the front and back side, the upgraded side of all your different action pieces. I think that was great because now you don't have to go in here and like flip it over to see what's on there and try to figure out which one to upgrade. You just look here, find it, flip it, you're good. Here it gives the sequence of events. This side is pointless because it's literally on your player board. So, but it's still nice to have. You know, it's better to have this than just a flat like back with just kind of artwork. So I'll take it. The fact they put it on the board is also great in order, just to remind you, hey, do these things in this order. So I gave this a 5 out of 5. I didn't see any issues with it.
Yeah. So I pretty much agree with everything. Yeah, very nice rule book. They have the sides laid out here with a bunch of examples in a different color scheme, so you can easily differentiate between what's an example and what's the actual description of everything. It goes through everything in order, so you can easily understand all your actions. So I love that. On the back, bonus to them, they list all the icons. So you can just have the back open and be like, oh, these are the icons. There's a few times we had to glance at these just to make sure we understood them correctly. So, perfect. I got player aid to Nick's point. I love how I can just glance at these and understand what is on the other side here, so I'm not kind of giving away what I'm doing by looking at them. They also
included it here if you don't want to use them.
Which is also there.
Yeah.
I do agree this side is kind of pointless. It's on the board. What I wish was almost on here was the player's special abilities. So, like, what all the players were, like, just their special abilities. So I can be like, oh, you're playing Galileo. Okay, that's what you're able to do. Obviously, I can't directly impact what they use it for, but just having that knowledge.
I mean,
here,
it's on
based on this.
It's on here, too, which is pretty easy and clear.
Well, sure,
like, literally, when you do this, you get to do that extra thing.
Well, I'm not thinking for, like, my character. I'm just thinking for, like, knowing.
No, I know. Like, literally, I could look over and know what
That's
your
true.
thing is. Like,
But I do agree this is pointless. But,
yeah.
So, yes, I agree. I give this a 5.
A 5? All right. 5's across the board. All right, now we're on to the components. So the components is not the artwork and what things look like. The components is what things are made out of. How cheap do they feel? How deluxe are they? Are they fragile feeling? All of that sort of stuff. So, how do you rate components?
So, components, as you can see here,
Mouthfeel.
There's lots of them. You have a bunch of dice, 3 different colors, red, yellow, and blue. So, solid dice, they're typical. They're the basic cheap dice, but they do their job. You have a bunch of different little tokens and things. I do like, and I'll talk about again in design, that they're all like shaped differently. Those are all solid structure. They do have these, which for whatever reason, they went tokens everywhere else. For these, the only thing they went cardboard with. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the things that go on your player board, just like all of these tokens. So I'm not sure why they went cardboard there.
Yeah.
The other thing is these are cardboard. These could have been acrylic. I don't know if it was an upgrade. Again, we bought this straight at Gen Con, not through Kickstarter or their Game Found thing. So there could have been an acrylic upgrade to these. Not sure.
Yeah.
So all of the actual tokens, everything, good quality. You're moving them around. They haven't really got dinged up at all. For these cardboard pieces, they will get dinged, especially these, because every time you're doing action, you're swapping and moving, and you're hitting them over the sides. So again, to have acrylic would have been significantly better. Mm-hmm. For anything else getting damaged, like again, these are cardboard and whatnot, if it gets damaged in the box, I'm blaming that on storage because the quality of even great things, if they're just getting thrown around that box, are going to get damaged eventually because of the storage. So I'm not going to ding these because this is solid cardboard. For the gameplay itself, it's just sitting here. So you shouldn't have issues with it banging against things unless you're me and slapping the board around. And then the cards, which are fairly cheap, very flimsy cards, but they came with sleeves. I did not buy these sleeves extra. These came in the box. So...
Oh, they were inside the box?
They were inside the box.
Did they give them to you?
This game, they was inside the box.
Oh, they asked you when you got this what kind of sleeves you wanted, matte or gloss. You said matte.
That was for this.
Yeah.
But they didn't charge me extra for sleeves, I don't think.
I don't know. Either way, it's not included in the box, though.
It's not in the box, but it came with the game.
It might have just been because we were at Gen Con, though.
I don't know. Because everything else was charged. So, like, when I got sleeves for one of the other games, it was extra $5. Like, this just came with...
Yeah, but, like, if you go to a store to buy this...
Will they have sleeves?
It's not in the box,
okay.
So...
Well, so if the sleeves are not included in this, these are very flimsy cards.
Yeah.
So my component score, mostly because of how damaged these tiles can get, the fact that these are not tokens, and we don't know why, and the cards, I give it a 4. Because all of the other tokens and everything are good quality.
Okay. All right. So components. So the game board itself is a, like, can you give me one of the ones we're not using? So this game board here itself, perfect, is nice and sturdy, which it needs to be. The problem is the middle section is not as sturdy. I think you almost ripped one right away, right?
Maybe that one, I don't know.
Yeah. Just it's because it's very thin paper here, so this could be very easy to rip if you're not paying attention, which is not good. But for the most part, the actual board part is nice. These, even though they are the cardboard punch-outs, they're not very flimsy, which is nice, so I don't really knock it for that. It is weird that they have all of these like screen printed, but not a token for these to be screen printed. It is what it is. It's fine. They don't feel cheap. The cards, however, do feel cheap. They are not any kind of linen finish. It is just a very flimsy card, which might be why at Gen Con they were offering the sleeves to go with it. They may have had complaints about that. I don't know. Either way, the sleeves were additional, not, seems like, part of the actual game itself, unlike Spire's End that comes with sleeves because it's part of the game. All the wooden pieces, they all seem very consistent. Nothing seems wonky or like it was weirdly printed or chipped or anything of that sort. Very consistent. The dice, I think, are oddly my favorite part of this. Just being wooden and that they just, I don't know what it is about them. They're not anything super special. Like, it's still just 1 to 6 on these. But for whatever reason, I like the colored dice and how they look. Everything else, though, is very standard, typical cardboard or wooden. Nothing amazing, nothing terrible. But because of the cards being meh, which is my big issue if you have a card game, I gave it a 4 as well out of 5. Yeah.
All right. Next category up is the design. So taking a look back at those components and how does everything look, how does the game board look, and all of the iconography.
All right. So for design, the things I don't like, and this is just me being me, also as an illustrator, but to preface, I did not knock it for this. I don't enjoy the look of the characters. They remind me of Seventh Continent, where it's just, the artwork is very meh. It looks like someone who just picked up digital painting for the first time, but it is painterly, and that may have been the point, the looseness, and they are of the characters. It's not bad by any means. So like I said, didn't knock it. It's just my pet peeve is if you're going to do it, go a little bit further into doing it, or go a little bit less as far. Like, don't fall in that middle ground where it looks like it's potentially a mistake. The rest of the board, I love the player boards and the Milky Way that's on here and how it looks like you're ready to look up at the stars, like the sun setting. I think that is phenomenal. I love the hand-drawn sketches of all the comets on the board here, and then the hand-drawn sketches of all the constellations as if you're jotting them down as you observe them into a journal. The main board up here, again, is that skyline, very clear, very in theme. The edges around the board have like little ticks and marks as if, again, you had drawn this with pencil. The university area having actual like building was a lot of fun. It serves its purpose for separation for the components, but also has that visual separation as well. Like, oh, that's a different thing over there, and it feels like that, which is great. The cellar looks evil. Like there's fire in there, which is interesting.
Like Dante's Inferno.
So that's a fun little touch. The iconography is very easy to understand. I think my favorite thing design-wise about this is the color mixing aspect. Like, this isn't an artist game at all, but it's very artistic. Like, from the painterly portraits to the hand-drawn fun stuff to the fact that when you use dice, you have your primary pigments here, your red, yellow, and blue, and then you have to create scores of, like this has an 8 in purple, so you have to use the colors that make purple. It's a very painterly feeling, which, again, is no way part of the theme of this game, but I really enjoyed that. So, design got a 5 out of 5 for me.
Okay, so for me, I agree with a lot of the same points. The whole game board design, awesome. The sunset on the left-hand side, the university on the right-hand side. Even this little Inquisitor area down here with how they're handling everything. Love all of the cards and the constellations. If we flip one of these over, you'll see it's just the pure constellation. Like you'd see it written on a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's like hand-drawn, too.
On the other side, shows you that same constellation in the sky. So absolutely love that. Again, iconography for all of the symbols, super clear on how to increase dice. And it's the color of the dice. Everything right there, all super clear. A fun thing I noticed is they are very pro-colorblind in this game.
They have the notches.
Yeah, so red has a marker on the left-hand side, yellow on the right-hand side, blue on the bottom. That is consistent also with every single one of these pictures. So if you are colorblind playing the game, you can just see where the dot is, and the dot will indicate what color it is. So the little things that they took advantage of and helped populations of people with. I'm not fully colorblind, but I didn't need those markers. I just noticed them now.
Yeah.
So everything there is great. This, I'm going to be the exact opposite of Nick. I love how this looks, because to me it looks almost like a scroll parchment that someone drew the picture of this person on and then just scrolled it back up in stores because of the years. This is the 1500s, 1600s when all these people were alive. So I think because of the time era that they existed, this kind of could look like someone had drawn on some shit. What?
Da Vinci and Michelangelo and other artists were doing like phenomenal things. Like,
no, but that's an actual painting. But this looks like it's almost like a scroll parchment.
Okay, yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, not an actual. Like it's not Mona Lisa on the wall.
Well, you were saying because of the time frame. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but they would. You're not going to use parchment today and draw on it.
No, they weren't using It's fine.
They were definitely using parchment then. Okay. Regardless, I give design a 5 out of 5.
Nice. Regardless, I agree. 5 out of 5. All right. Lastly, we have the BS results. The gameplay.
Yes. I just murmured all of that. So, 30-second overview of gameplay here. You have your personal microscope. Each telescope.
I did that last time.
Telescope. As you progress across your area here, you have different actions. You have 2 sets. You have the permanent action on top. You have the secondary action here. The secondary action, things will change as the game progresses. They slide around. You can flip and upgrade from the white side to the orange side. The top always stays the same. So you're utilizing these actions to observe constellations, to increase your university, to put out spotting comets, which makes things cheaper, to gaining dice or increasing dice values, as well as moving your inquisitors from their starting spot on the left all the way to the right in your set.
From the hellfire to safety.
Yes. So it is a very combo-eccentric game.
Yes.
Combo-centric. Not eccentric.
Yeah. Yes.
Combo-centric game where you
Yes.
need to be able to do one thing to trigger something else, to trigger a third thing, to be able to maximize your points.
Mm-hmm.
You have a limited amount of turns. As soon as the last one of these cards from a stack is put onto the game board, that triggers the final round. So you have to be able to utilize a bunch of things at the same time to maximize what you're doing.
Yep.
I absolutely love that fact.
Mm-hmm.
There is the interesting thing, too, of if you focus down one path solely on, I'm only going to focus on the university. Well, that doesn't make sense because these multipliers are based on those 4 things. So you have to also raise those things accordingly. If you're only focusing on the dice and observing constellations, sure, you're going to get a bunch of VP off the bat, but you're going to get like no endgame scoring. So I do enjoy, similar to some of the Vitalicerta games and others, that balance of focusing here, focusing there, and kind of bouncing around. As well as, there's always the fun aspect, you can hate draft. So if your opponents go like, he just added 2 comets on top of this thing, brought him to the bottom, he's going to try next turn to take that major thing. If you have the dice, boom, take it. And most likely the next one will be more expensive because it levels up as the levels or the turns go by. So for me, I thoroughly enjoyed everything. I know there is probably some clunkiness that Nick will bring up based on his experience, but I honestly think that was his misunderstanding on how the game was being played for part of it. And I'm giving this a 5.
Okay.
He's like, no, it wasn't me misunderstanding.
Yeah, you do that. All right. So I really like this game as well. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be a 5 for me. So the things I love about this game, I really like this action track and how when you use one, you remove it, slide these, put it at the end, and then continue on. I like that it continually randomizes all of these things. The comet idea up here is also a fun idea, like getting those out, getting those up. You know, looking at doing your constellation stuff and like looking at the planets to collect cards to make this pathway longer so you can study and move your books up. It's like you're continuing to study that planet and those constellations. I really like that. The university tracks, I like that as well. I like the aspect of, okay, I'm doing this stuff. I have to kind of slowly try to move up here as well to, make this the best it can be. This track down here, you can tell they were definitely inspired by games like Golem.
That was my first thought too.
Yep. Because they have a similar thing where like when your golems get to a certain point, you can kill them and you put them down here to get bonuses to help you out. So all that's great. The thing I don't like is the Hellfire situation at the bottom of the board. I don't mind the idea of it. I think it's just a little broken in how it's done. Unfortunately, while trying to do everything else, you are constantly running into areas that are +2, +1, where you're having to put people back here into this section. And then you have to ultimately move them out of here all the way to the top to make sure you don't have negative points at the end. But in doing so, you will end up triggering an insurrection.
Nope. This is not the Capitol building.
Not insurrection.
Inquisition.
Inquisition. An Inquisition. An Inquisition, which causes you to go down on the track on the board here, which ultimately will lose you points. So this here hits so hard during the entire game that you almost have to focus on this area. So the first time we played this a total of 3 times. Board won both games tonight. The first time I played, I won because I focused only on that area. Here, you won by a ton of points because you focused heavily on that area down there to push that stuff up and to make sure you had things up. So I don't mind this. I just don't like that it's weighted and leans so far into you having to focus. I wish this was more of another track that you could focus on, and if you don't maintain it at all, you suffer. But like literally the entire game, you're having to maintain this heavily.
I think the big difference between how I maintain and how you maintain it for the second game today, was there was a point I had like 3 over here.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically waited and avoided anything that pushed this up until I had enough to do 8 movements.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That sucks,
allowed
though.
me. It does, but I was just able to look out there and be like, okay, I can do 3 here, or 1 there, 2 there, 3 here, and pay for more.
Well, I'm saying though, like that's what I don't enjoy, that you have to even focus on. Okay, I need to save all this stuff so I can move all these people. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's too much of a focus on that. It's almost like this is the main part of the game, and everything else is secondary, and it takes away from the fun of all of that. Like this down here, honestly, like when you move these people, it shouldn't cause a situation that causes this to move up and down. Instead, it should be a track where you slowly are focusing on moving people, and when it comes to end game, based on where they're at, then you lose your points and stuff based on how many you moved. Like, make it purely an end game thing. Don't make it during the game constantly something I'm having to worry about and stress about. And
it also starts at -3, which kind of sucks, instead of like positive or 0.
Instead of 0, exactly. Yeah. Like it's just this and this just it kills the joy of the stuff that I love so much about this. So because of that, I gave it a 4 out of 5, because this is mostly a great game to me. One of my favorite things is the type of game it is, the heavy comboing, the Euro thing, and it plays in an hour if you know how to play it.
Yeah, we played 2 games, 2 hours.
Literally played 2 games in 2 hours. You just bust through. It's completely random for the cards up here, and it's fun each time, except for this bullshit. So, 4 out of 5.
All right. So now we go into our final thoughts and final scores as I knock the box down. So going over those 5 categories one more time, but now with the combined bald and board game score.
The averaged.
Average ball and board game score, yes.
Yep.
For each of those 5 categories, as soon as this jet goes over by.
Yeah. Alrighty. So starting off with storage, I gave storage a 2. Board gave it a 1, which means bald and board gives the storage a 1.5. Word of note, I don't think we explained this in the beginning. If you do not make it to the next half or whole, we do round down to the previous half or whole. So, 1.5.
Yes. For the rule book, big boost here. Bald gave this a 5. I gave it a 5. It is very clear on where everything is. There's examples on the side. The player aids give you good information for your upgrading ability. So Bald and Board Games gives the rule book a 5.
For components, I give it a 4. Board give it a 4. So Bald and Board Games gives it a 4. The components have a lot of nice components. Everything is very sturdy. It's really in the average components that are cardboard and the cheap cards that bring it down to that 4.
Yep. For design, Bald gave this a 5. I gave this a 5. Bald and Board Games gives design a 5. Everything looks great. Super interesting. Obviously looks like the night sky, which perfectly complements the fact that this is a constellation-themed, space-themed game.
Alrighty. For gameplay, I gave gameplay a 4. Board gave gameplay a 5. Bald and Board gives gameplay a 4.5. So the one thing that really held the game back from getting a 5 for gameplay was my issues with it, which, like I mentioned, I won the first game because I heavily focused on there, and lost the other 2 games because I did not. So that's really the only part that dragged it down for me. It's the one bit of poison that kills the fun in this well for myself. Alrighty.
So, the final scores, taking all 5 of those categories, summing them together individually. So, for Galileo Galilei, gave... I was trying to how to pronounce this game. Galileo Galilei. So, for Galileo Galilei, I give the game overall a 4. The big thing that held it back for me was the storage. Again, I love the gameplay, love the rulebook and the design of everything. Components, little tick down, but real big tick down was that storage, that it's a box of things.
And for I give GG a 4 as well. Yes, storage was the main factor that is terrible. absolutely terrible. A great way to ruin a great game, which is unfortunate because everything else about this game is great, despite the gripes. One more G word. Just kidding.
Gregorious.
Gregory.
So overall, Baldwin Board Games combined score for Galileo Galilei by Capstone Games and Pink Troubadour is a 4 out of 5.
And that means that Galileo Galilei by Pink Troubadour and Capstone Games is a certified must-play here at Baldwin Board Games.
It is great.
It's great! Galileo is great. Yes, no, it is, it is a lot of fun. If you're looking for a Euro combo-y game to introduce somebody who wants to get into gaming, this is a great one because it doesn't last forever. I think the biggest issue with a lot of people who are trying to get into gaming who aren't used to like real board gaming is how long a lot of them take. I think on average, most board games now take 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you love it because you're in it, you're having fun, that, you're talking, it's great. But if you're new to it, that can be exhausting as you're trying to remember how to do everything. Here, you don't have to remember a lot. It plays very quickly. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I would even say, like, if for parents out there, I know a few coworkers keep asking me, hey, what recommendations do you have for games? I have a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. You have like a 12, 14-year-old who's learned about this stuff in school. It's a good game. Again, the iconography is so clear that teenagers can understand it. To Nick's point, you're not there for more than an hour, hour and a half probably the first time as you're learning to play. And it's educational. It has a bunch of cool backstories on each of these astronomers. It has some cool constellations you would actually see in the night sky.
Yep, absolutely. So, Baldwin Board Game definitely recommends Galileo Galilei. It is a must-play. Well, we thank you guys for joining us here at Baldwin Board Games as we did a review here of Galileo Galilei by Pink Troubadour. I'm Bald.
I'm Board.
We'll see you in the night sky. In our microscope.
Good night.